What compels a civilization to construct a wall so vast it snakes across mountains, deserts, and plains, stretching over 13,000 miles? Was it fear, ambition, or an extraordinary vision of control? The Great Wall of China is far more than a massive barricade of stone and brick. It's a reflection of strategic genius, imperial authority, and the relentless drive to shape destiny. For centuries, it served not just as a physical defense, but as a tool of psychological warfare, political propaganda, and economic regulation. To understand its true significance, we must look beyond the towering battlements and explore the hidden strategies behind its creation, the dynasties that shaped it, and the centuries of power struggles that made it one of the most remarkable structures in human history. Before the Great Wall became a unified structure, China was a land divided. During the 7th century BCE, China was not yet a single empire, but a fractured collection of warring states. Each kingdom sought to protect its territory from both rival states and raiding nomads by building fortifications. These were rudimentary walls, often made of tamped earth and wooden barriers, but they laid the foundation for what would eventually become the most ambitious defense project in history. However, it was not until the rise of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of a unified China, that the dream of a continuous, interlinked wall began to take shape. Qin Shi Huang, who ruled from 221 to 210 BCE, was a visionary, but he was also ruthless. After conquering the rival states and establishing the Qing dynasty, he faced a daunting challenge: securing his new empire from the relentless Xiongnu, a powerful confederation of nomadic tribes from the north. Realizing that independent state walls were ineffective in stopping these nomadic raids, he ordered their connection into one continuous defensive barrier. This monumental project required thousands of laborers, including soldiers, peasants, and even prisoners, toiling under brutal conditions. The construction process itself was a feat of engineering, using tamped earth, wood, and later bricks and stone. The project cost thousands of lives, but in the eyes of Qin Shi Huang, it was a necessary sacrifice to ensure the survival of his empire. Yet, despite the sheer size and effort that went into it, the wall alone was not enough. The emperor also stationed garrisons along its length and established signal towers to alert troops of impending attacks. This early version of the wall, while groundbreaking, was only the beginning of a strategic evolution that would span centuries. After the fall of the Qing dynasty, the Great Wall did not remain stagnant. The Han dynasty, which ruled from 202 BCE to 220 CE, recognized the wall's value not just as a defense mechanism, but as a tool to expand China's influence. Under Emperor Wu, the Han extended the wall westward, integrating it into a larger strategy to protect the Silk Road, the vital trade route that connected China to Central Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. The Han rulers also introduced garrison towns along the wall, ensuring a permanent military presence. Unlike the Qin, who had focused solely on military defense, the Han saw the wall as a means of economic control. By regulating trade through checkpoints, they could tax goods, monitor merchants, and prevent smugglers from bypassing official routes. This transformed the wall from a simple barrier into a powerful instrument of state control. The wall's evolution continued through successive dynasties, each adapting it to their needs. The Northern Chu dynasty, which ruled from 550 to 574 CE, facing internal and external threats, constructed over 1,600 kilometers of new walls, reinforcing weak points and creating buffer zones. But perhaps the most significant transformation came during the Ming Dynasty, a period that saw the Great Wall take its most recognizable form. By the 14th century, the Mongol Empire, which had previously ruled over China during the Yuan dynasty, had fragmented. Although the Mongols had once controlled China, they remained a formidable threat after their expulsion. The Ming Dynasty, recognizing the persistent danger posed by these northern warriors, embarked on the most ambitious rebuilding and reinforcement of the Great Wall. Unlike earlier versions of the wall, which were built primarily of tamped earth and wooden fortifications, the Ming rulers constructed massive stone and brick walls, making them far more durable. The Ming also introduced sophisticated military innovations, including thousands of watchtowers, beacon systems for long-distance signaling, and reinforced bastions. These improvements allowed for rapid communication between military outposts, ensuring that any invasion could be met with swift resistance. The Ming rulers, however, understood that a wall alone could not stop an enemy. They paired their defensive efforts with aggressive military campaigns, stationing large armies near the border and launching preemptive strikes when necessary. The wall was not merely a passive structure, it was part of a larger strategy that included diplomacy, espionage, and economic warfare. While the Great Wall is often viewed as an imposing physical defense, its true power lay not just in its stone and brick, but in the flow of information it enabled. Far from being a static barrier, the wall functioned as a dynamic intelligence network. The effectiveness of the wall was not just in stopping invasions, it was in predicting them. Stretching across thousands of miles, the wall was dotted with watchtowers at regular intervals, each manned by sentries trained to scan the horizon for approaching threats. These towers were not merely lookout points. They were part of an advanced signaling system that allowed for rapid communication across vast distances. A sighting at one end of the wall could be transmitted hundreds of miles away in mere hours, allowing armies to mobilize before an invasion force even reached the border. In many ways, this early warning system functioned like an ancient military telegraph, reducing the element of surprise for enemy raiders and giving Chinese forces the upper hand in defensive strategy. But the intelligence game was not limited to signals alone. The wall itself acted as a line of espionage, where both the Chinese and their enemies sought to outmaneuver one another, not just through military might, but through deception and subterfuge. Chinese scouts and spies frequently infiltrated enemy camps beyond the wall, gathering intelligence on nomadic tribes, their movements, alliances, and weaknesses. These agents, often disguised as traitors or defectors, provided crucial information that helped Chinese generals anticipate attacks before they happened. At the same time, northern tribes used their own spies to bribe border guards, forge trade documents, or extract secrets from Chinese officials stationed along the wall. This constant exchange of misinformation and counterintelligence meant that control of the wall was as much a matter of strategic cunning as it was of sheer force. In some cases, intelligence efforts turned the wall itself into a weapon of manipulation. The Chinese would sometimes spread false information, exaggerating the strength of their defenses or staging military exercises near the wall to intimidate potential invaders. This tactic was used effective by the Ming Dynasty, whose rulers ensured that the wall not only acted as a deterrent physically, but psychologically as well. The Great Wall was far more than an inanimate structure of stone. It was a living, breathing system of surveillance, communication, and psychological warfare. Its effectiveness was not measured solely by how well it kept enemies out, but by how well it allowed the Chinese Empire to control the flow of knowledge, anticipate threats, and manipulate perception. In the grand chessboard of history, it was not just a wall, it was a strategy. Beyond its role as an intelligence network and defensive stronghold, the Great Wall was also a powerful instrument of political and economic control. It served as a tangible expression of imperial authority, a structure so vast and enduring that it reinforced the emperor's legitimacy simply by existing. The immense resources required for its construction and maintenance were a demonstration of the state's dominance over its people and territories. The wall was more than just a barrier against external threats. It was a message to both China's enemies and its own citizens that the empire was vast, unified, and unshakable. In addition to reinforcing political power, the wall played a crucial role in regulating trade. Key sections functioned as heavily monitored gateways, allowing the government to oversee commerce and control the movements of people and goods. By keeping trade routes secure and filtering foreign influences, the wall helped shape the economic landscape of the empire. Specifically designed trading outposts were established along its length, ensuring that transactions took place under strict state supervision, minimizing smuggling and unauthorized dealings. Perhaps its most enduring influence, however, was the way it shaped perception of China itself. For centuries, the wall reinforced the idea of the Middle Kingdom as a self-contained world. Separated, what compels a civilization to construct a wall so vast it snakes across mountains, deserts, and plains, stretching over 13,000 miles? Was it fear, ambition, or an extraordinary vision of control? The Great Wall of China is far more than a massive barricade of stone and brick. It's a reflection of strategic genius, imperial authority, and the relentless drive to shape destiny. For centuries, it served not just as a physical defense, but as a tool of psychological warfare, political propaganda, and economic regulation. To understand its true significance, we must look beyond the towering battlements and explore the hidden strategies behind its creation, the dynasties that shaped it, and the centuries of power struggles that made it one of the most remarkable structures in human history. Before the Great Wall became a unified structure, China was a land divided. During the 7th century BCE, China was not yet a single empire, but a fractured collection of warring states. Each kingdom sought to protect its territory from both rival states and raiding nomads by building fortifications. These were rudimentary walls, often made of tamped earth and wooden barriers, but they laid the foundation for what would eventually become the most ambitious defense project in history. However, it was not until the rise of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of a unified China, that the dream of a continuous, interlinked wall began to take shape. Qin Shi Huang, who ruled from 221 to 210 BCE, was a visionary. But